of the Arbiter keeps bringing it home.
I'm ecstatic. I love it.
Wow! I mean, there's so much in there.
Let's go.
And action.
Being asked to do this series was such an honor, and I studied some of the greats and thoroughly researched the character of me. I really dug in to make sure I gave my best performance of myself for the show. It was an entirely new journey, kind of, to actually go beyond the game and tell my story to a wider audience. I wouldn't say it was easy, but it was definitely worth it.
And cut.
In episode 2, we see what happened to that baby that Galax saved in episode 1, and then we realize that this is Athel.
Athel?
So Athel is an orphan, and the only family that she's ever known are the Sacred Order. So it's not just a question of, can she follow this path that's before her like most heroes do? But for an orphan who was taken in by the Sacred Order, she's leaving the only family that she's ever known.
The Sacred Order is basically this fundamentalist religious sect of militants who have lost their way that may have served a purpose once long ago.
These tomes are forbidden, and
Just like the orcs, they're kind of bad guys too, depending on your perspective.
they contain heresy.
But
And they were found in your quarters.
Athel has been digging into things that she should not. She's been reading forbidden texts, which are now considered heresy among the Sacred Order.
She's got a struggle that I think is really relatable, which is deciding to follow what you know is true and what's in your heart versus what other people are telling you.
who are you?
Contained here is a truth that the Sacred Order once knew, but has forgotten.
There it's revealed to her that the Arbiter is real and that the visions that she's been having aren't just dreams. We also see how that touch from the Arbiter manifests and how that makes her power stronger.
Ultimately, for Athel, her conflict is, can she generate the confidence and the self-belief to make the most difficult decision?
My place isn't here.
Athel, you are sworn to the Covenant.
Godseeker Aniri doesn't want Athel digging deeper into the past, doesn't want Athel bringing out these things that may be true but may not be canon, actually, to the Sacred Order.
We wrote the role for kind of this Mother Superior character. You know, in the game you see her and she's ready for war. But we like this idea that when she's not fighting, that's part of her task is to raise the next generation of warriors.
We also meet Shamael, and they're two friends who grew up in the Sacred Order.
I thought you might be a bit hungry after getting your ass kicked.
Shamel cares a great deal for Athel, and for him, that's his highest priority, is to make sure that his friend doesn't wind up in any more trouble.
Athel, you need to stop.
Shamael sees this change in his friend, and he thinks that it's like dark magic.
Is this how you've gotten so fast? Dark magic?
Shamel's goal is to always protect Athel, and he does that, and he helps her. What becomes of Shamel in the future is going to be really curious for us to uncover. What does happen? Where does he go?
May the goddess guide you.
This isn't the Athel that we know from the game. We're showing a younger Athel. She's about 15, 16, she's coming of age. She hasn't been out in the world. And for us, that was really cool to kind of show where she came from.
When we created Athel, we wanted to make sure that we can recognize her being the character in the games as a teenager. We built a mesh of her body. We painted her skin. We had to build all the plates and armor she has on. And after that, we went to rigging to make sure her expressions were accurate.
We have to make sure all parts of the character move.
There's millions and millions of steps that go on in the course of production, and having a partner on the animation side who cares, that's the important thing.
The Sacred Order has that really strong faction symbol in the game. We got to reflect that in all of the set design, in the buildings.
It's all in a cathedral with big windows, stained glass. It's like ancient cathedrals in Europe, but bigger.
The dojo where Athel is learning how to fight, that is maybe the set that was the most difficult. The place was really big and had a really complicated architecture.
Big rays out of stained glass.
You also see Athel finally get to go to the secret library.
The Lost Library.
This is a place that even the Sacred Order may have forgotten exists.
The library was also a challenge. It's very dirty and we spent a lot of time adding spider webs.
We really were fortunate because we had the opportunity to explore the world in any way we wanted.
Athel's episode is my favorite episode. I really wanted the music to find a way to express the inner longing she has to find her place in this world, which she hasn't found yet. Nobody understands her, but she has to stick to her guns, and that's what I'm trying to bring out in the music.
We view episodes 3 and 4 as kind of one big episode. We get the full history that the Dark Elves may have sided with the forces of darkness a very, very long time ago, and for that they were kind of cast as pariahs.
Never trust a blood traitor.
We looked at different conflicts around the world where two groups of people have fought and then have trouble getting to the bargaining table for reconciliation.
And in the midst of this, we meet these two characters on either side. You've got Elhain, who is the anointed successor of Queen Eva. We've also got Kael, one of the more senior of the aristocratic families of the Dark Elves.
One of the things that we pitched early on was doing kind of a forbidden love story, kind of a Romeo and Juliet between Kael and Elhain.
They meet each other in this ancient cave that contains the clues as to the origins of their race. And it's that love that they have for each other that ultimately holds the key to everything, the key to these two races reconciling and being able to find peace.
They fall in love briefly, and like in a fairy tale, they choose to meet again a year from now.
But then ultimately, circumstance being the thing that drives them apart, where neither understands why the other didn't show up, and then creates tension over the rest of the episode.
She doesn't show up, and he's hurt. And because of that, he decides to go on this mission to assassinate the queen.
You get that aha moment when they first look into each other's eyes, realize who it is, with that kind of bullet time of the combined pendant floating in the background. And that especially was a really cool touch, because you know, and he knows, that last time he saw that, that was split in two pieces.
This is essentially a movie's worth of a story that gets condensed so elegantly. It is really kind of like a poem.
At first, the audience isn't quite clear on whether or not Kael's gonna turn against her. But then they basically fight both the High Elves and the Dark Elves.
One of the coolest ideas I think Jay had visually with this was, how do we make the interplay between these two characters kind of symbolic of their relationship?
When Kael and Elhain decide to join forces, we had this idea that it's a very violent fight, but to them, this is their first dance.
The Arbiter's role is a little bit more ambiguous than some of the other episodes. You get this idea that she might be leaving these breadcrumbs for them to find their true history. But she lets them make their own decisions and their own misunderstandings, and at the very end, she offers them a choice.
Come, elves. You are needed.
In episode 3 and 4, there's 3 stars. You know, there's Kael, there's Elhain, and there's the music. This is where Jesper's score really gets to shine.
Elhain's theme, it's a fighting theme. It's adrenaline-fueled action moment.
One of the things that I had told Jesper, have a theme for Elhain and have a theme for Kael.
Kael has a similar approach because he's an elf as well.
When they are working together, those themes kind of come together and create a new kind of song.
One of our favorite parts in this was getting to see Elhain in action. You get to see her as like a full-on badass leader of soldiers. And when she shows up in the battle against the demon spawn, it's a big deal. You know, we show her with weaponry that she doesn't have in the game, we show her with some abilities that she doesn't yet have in the game, and we like this idea of this much cooler version of Elhain that can hold her own against like the worst that the world has to throw at her.
In order to create Kendall and Elaine, we had to nail the different look between High Elves and Dark Elves. They were the same at the beginning. They must not be too different. The models were very similar, but the texture, the color of their skin, the texture palette of their clothes is really not the same.
We also got to have a lot of fun with the set design in these sets of episodes. We wanted to do something that looked elven. The textures, the metals, we really wanted the materials to kind of shine through here. The heraldry, the elves that you see in the game, is incorporated into the actual structural designs and the door motifs and everything else. TeamTo and the team at Lexinoda spent hundreds and hundreds of hours nailing down each one of those details and really defining what the architectural look of Elven society was.
This door leads to the Queen office. It takes me 4 days to model it. A lot of girl, so we have to model much more details.
On the battlefield, one shot had to be very impressive. We had to use crowd software.
I received scenes with a few characters, I'd say 10 characters. In this shot, I had to put like 25,000 on both sides, so 50,000. So you don't want to animate them by hand.
The demon battlefield is a lot of lava. It's just not a piece of rock. It has to look like a real mountainscape. So we came in with the idea of making a set that is just separated elements, so a piece of land with lava, a piece of land with rocks. That was really cool to be able to pull that off.
This is also, I think, the first episode that really let us showcase some of the 2D effects.
One of the things that I wanted to do was use 2D animated effects, hand-drawn effects, over the CG models to give it a very specific look.
We had to integrate our 2D effects in our 3D environment, so when Elaine shoots an arrow, our 2D effect will light her face. The fire at the end of the arrow is 2D, but the arrow itself and the bow are 3D.
The very last scene that we see is Queen Ava walking into the empty library. You get the feeling that Ava and the Arbiter have crossed paths in some point in history.
It seems you have a higher calling.
Episode 5 focuses on the Arbiter as a character. This is where she brings them together, and this is where she chooses to reveal the purpose that she's brought them all for.
You've got this kind of four-way battle, and then again, you know, that's when the Arbiter shows up.
I wondered if there were any beings alive who could see things as they really are.
In episode 5, we begin to expand the world and begin to show you the history. And the audience begins to really learn what Raid is all about. There is a long-standing conflict that's been raging within this world, perhaps is now simmering.
I was charged with bringing light into this world.
When we were doing the voice sessions for the Arbiter, we spent a lot of time dialing in this idea that not only is she majestic and she's powerful, but that she's tired.
Each time that I have come to fight the darkness, a great toll has been taken.
She's been fighting the same battle for hundreds of thousands of years, going back throughout history, and she's pretty much used up everything that she has. And we also kind of get the stakes for the first time.
Here we say, you know what? Here's what the actual quest is.
Stand with me. Stand together.
You've all been called to join forces to bring me back into this world.
The quest is really simple. The Arbiter expended a lot of energy the last time that she fought evil, and it almost killed her. The thing that she needs is she needs her armor. Her armor contains really, really, really ancient power. This is power that's the type of stuff that could start the Big Bang. And so that's what she needs to come back into the world in order to help the whole world face the darkness that is to come.
Find these, and I shall return to the world again.
The Arbiter's theme is something really ethereal, where it needed to be something that felt like it was something that came from beyond, something that was this divine intervention, this divine spirit.
This long freeze frame of this massive battle, that was something that was pitched to us in the very first meetings with Jay and Kendall.
We thought it'd be really kind of interesting to see a battle that's frozen.
We had to get really, really clever. When we first sent it to TeamTo, they're like, oh my gosh, how are we going to do this?
When we first saw the animatic of this scene, we got scared because we counted 400 characters, I think. And in order to build it, we divided each scene in 6 different layers.
Go look around through that freeze frame. You're going to see some of your favorite characters. You're going to see some of the other factions that you may not have seen as represented in the rest of the series. We really hope people kind of freeze frame that one and go through frame by frame and see who can they spot. Throughout the series, there's something like 170 of your champions. See if you can find them in this one.
In our last 4 episodes, we've met our core cast of characters, we've learned what makes each of them tick, and now they've been given their quest by the Arbiter.
We learned about the history of the Sacred Order and where they'd lost their way. We've learned about the Arbiter. We know about the history of the Dark Elves and the High Elves, and we've seen the budding relationship and the history that connects Kale and Elhain.
Each of these characters has made a very, very important decision that has altered the course of their lives. And now to make that mean something, to make it matter, they're gonna have to go on this quest with the Arbiter. With that deck set, everything comes to a head. We're able to drive everything to a really epic and thrilling conclusion.
Now we have all of the starting champions.
The Arbiter, oh my goodness.
I'm really excited to see where this goes.
I'm excited to see more episodes.
I'm properly hyped for this.
Hey, DK, buddy, how's it going, man? It's Nick Day.
Oh, hey, Nick. I wasn't expecting to hear from you. How's it going, man?
Oh, dude, it's great. Again, I cannot tell you how excited we are that you're in the show.
Well, I'm just so honored. I cannot believe you guys made me one of the biggest characters.
Yeah, it's kind of what I wanted to talk to you about. I think we talked about how sometimes in the final edit and the final cut, like some of the stuff, we gotta make some tough choices, right? And some stuff might end up on the on the cutting room floor. You remember that?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Great, well, so I'm...
Oh, so Gallic's out of the show, huh? And you want me to help you break it to him?
Gallic's one of the starters, so he's definitely in the whole thing. It might be there's like a little less of you in the show than we had initially discussed.
Uh-huh. So, like, what percentage would you say I'm still in it?
Let's say 10 seconds out of 50 minutes. I would say you're still in upwards of about 0.5%, maybe 0.7.
Oh my God. 7 is my lucky number, dude. Oh yeah.
No way. That's great, DK. Yeah, buddy. I just wanted to break you the good news,
Well, yeah, I mean, you guys are the greatest, Nick. Thanks. I'll never forget this.
Hey, listen, buddy, I'm in traffic right now, so I kind of got to bail, but nothing but love for you, DK, okay, babe?
Okay. I can't wait to tell the Horde. OMG, I gotta call Turvold.
Okay, man. Yeah, you say hello for us, okay? All right, bye-bye now.